Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of Look Forward. I'm your host, Jay. I'm here with my co-host and fellow war correspondent, Brad. How are you?
Yeah, it's not often that we get to basically cover the entire arc of a war in the time that since we last recorded a podcast.
Yeah, this is the Donald Trump's 7 days war. This will be in the history books.
Though I think calling it a 7 days war is giving him too much credit. This should be known as the weekend war, essentially.
Yeah, just weekend at Trump's. Like just fucking get it done.
Yeah.
So yeah, but I would say it may not be over just yet. There are some strategic things that let me know that like people weren't playing for real. You know what I mean? Like, and we'll talk about that.
That is the thing, unfortunately, in the fucking world and presidency in which we live in. The real answer to the question of what do you think will happen next is who the fuck knows? Like literally anything could happen. I know that Donald Trump thinks that that's somehow an advantage, being unpredictable in that way. I don't think the rest of the world would agree with that sentiment, but
yeah,
this is where we are.
Yeah, hell of a week. So we start out as you do, bombings, right? Because of course.
We talked last week. So Israel, because I guess they're not getting enough war at home, wanted to stretch it out a little bit and basically strike first at Iran, who they accused of, developing a nuclear weapon, which was going to threaten them in the region. So we talked last week about the Israeli strikes into Tehran and other areas. I can't remember if the retaliation had happened by the time that we. It hadn't. Okay, great, fantastic.
It was like the next day or like 2 days later, and then there was videos of them just like nailing shit in Israel, which was crazy,
right? In like Tel Aviv, like in one of the two major cities in Israel. So like it was a pretty fucking serious thing.
Like, how could they do this to us? Well, how could you have done what you did? That was a bad idea. Also, some of those videos of like, hey, well, what is that over there? Oh, it's a hypersonic missile. Boom! Like, oh shit! Like, it's terrifying. I'm very happy. Like I do not live in any part of the world like that.
Yeah, holy shit. I could not imagine what it would be like hearing like a fucking air raid siren. Yeah. In the place that I live, that would be nuts. So.
Yeah, or seeing the shit like going on in the air, and like there's that video.
Yeah, even the stuff that got intercepted by like defense systems, still like because a defense system is basically like shooting another missile at the missile that's in the fucking air and destroying both of them. So
I mean, that's what the Iron Dome is, right? Like there's no real dome; it's just like an advanced system that just shoots missiles into missiles.
There's not. Somebody might want to tell the president that because I don't think he knows. So
he should be locked in more of a biodome, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, that's true.
For the safety of all of us. But yeah, so Iran obviously retaliates. I think we talked about this actually a little bit. Now I'm thinking about it. I think actually it did happen before we left last week. So they retaliate, and it's like the most obvious thing in the world. Of course they did, right? Trump comes out and he's like, "Hey man, I'm giving it 2 weeks. I'm going to think about it for 2 weeks." That was a fucking lie.
Everything is 2 weeks.
Yes.
Everything is 2 weeks with him.
Oh, the mashup of him pushing everything to 2 weeks is just hilarious. That's made it online a number of times. And so within like a couple of days, he's like, "Oh yeah, by the way, guys, we totally fucking just bombed the shit out of Iran." It's like, I'm sorry, what happened to 2 weeks, bro? So he bombs these nuclear sites in Iran, and tweets out, "Now is the time for peace," which is the most like bitch move
insane
of all time.
Thing to
like, I get to hit you,
after,
but like
literally after bombing the shit out of some of their like strategic military areas, he's like, "Well, now that I've hit you in the face, we should break bread and come together."
Yeah.
By the way, I have a really fun graph that I came across by way of the Financial Times
Yes.
So here's a fun fact. So Iran, so obviously to refine uranium, you need to do that through installing and using like centrifuges, basically. So it's always been kind of like known that like you kind of track a country's the number of centrifuges they have installed in the country to kind of track how what they're doing with nuclear material, essentially.
Right.
So from 2011 to January of 2016, Iran ramped up from having like a couple dozen centrifuges to having like 1,000 in the country.
Okay. That's significant.
Right. Pretty significant. January 2016, something happens and they go from having about 1,000 centrifuges to like 10, basically, that are running. And it stays that way until about
possibly gone.
Yeah. What I mean, let's ignore that. It's that.
No, don't worry. They have
not important. Yeah. What happened is not important. We'll go from there. So that remained that way until about, I don't know, late 2019, mid 2020, give or take, where they started ramping centrifuges back up again.
Hell yeah.
To the point now they have just under 15,000 centrifuges spun up with another 5,000 planned, basically.
So there's this this super weird thing, right? Obama really fucked up by getting the Iranians to sign into this deal that kept them from doing this. Like, what an asshole. Like, what an asshole.
I know, what a piece of shit.
What a piece of shit. Why would he do that? That's crazy.
A weak, ineffective deal that, had literal monitors going into the country to see what they were doing and to see that, like, oh, they're not actually doing anything with, nuclear capabilities to the extent that they could be developing a nuclear weapon. Because for those that also don't know, in order to be able to develop a nuclear weapon, not only do you have to be able to enrich uranium up to like 90% enrichment levels,
really
but you also have to be able to develop a warhead that can withstand, that can like not explode basically as it's re-entering Earth's atmosphere, which also incredibly difficult to do, from a technology standpoint.
Or not, by the way, or not explode going off the launch pad. Okay,
correct. Yes, which would be very bad.
Yeah, if we're gonna nuke those guys. Oh, we've nuked ourselves. This is a disaster. Yes. Check out North Korea for reference to any of that, okay? And probably Russia if they actually tried to launch a nuke, if we're being honest. So Obama and his team gets the JCPOA done, right? Which is the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, which is the Iran deal. That gets torn up by Trump when he comes in the first time. I posted that in a conversation. Someone's like, well, why didn't Biden just put it back? Yes, it's so easy. It's so easy to just
unfortunately to sign a treaty of it takes two to tango, as they say, and Iran was not feeling particularly forthcoming to the negotiating table after Trump fucked them the first time around.
Right. Like why would they? Right. And so obviously Biden could not get it done, even though he tried. He couldn't get Iran to the table, and the entire dynamics on the ground had changed. Right. So like you tore it up and then it's like, all right, well, let's go back to that other deal. Like, no, there's a lot has changed since then. Right.
Yeah.
Which is why you want to lock in those deals and keep them. Right. Because, by the way, the JCPOA is not like an indefinite thing. Right. It's over the course of like 10 years or something like that. Right. And then they renegotiate after 10 years. Right. Like, by the way, we've been doing all the milestones. Cool. We can keep it. Or, we give you a little bit of extra space, whatever. But it wasn't this thing of like, this is what it is, and it's finalized. That's not
right. For what it's worth, for people that are big advocates of like change agents coming into like serious positions of government, this is a prime example of why it's bad, actually, especially from a foreign policy standpoint, to wildly swing in crazy directions when someone else steps into office. It's why typically, before Trump, America has kept either foreign policy relatively consistent across administrations, regardless of party, or have slowly, like incrementally moved in directions away from certain positions instead of just like, again, tearing up a jointly negotiated agreement that had been signed 2.5 years prior.
Right.
Just because it's weak.
Right. And that doesn't happen for a number of reasons. But the main reason is all the other presidents, even if they disagree with the guy prior to them, they all have the country's best interests in mind. So it's like, okay, I may not agree with the JCPOA as it stands. Maybe I try to like, hey, can we add this into the JCPOA? Maybe can we renegotiate these aspects?
Yeah, you negotiate aspects of it. You go back to the table and be like, hey, like I don't agree with this. We think you should do this and blah blah. Instead, he just like, hey, we're gonna rip it up and start from scratch. And ironically, the agreement that Trump claimed, that the Trump administration claimed they were negotiating with Iran before all of this shit fucking kicked off, is actually weaker than the JCPOA was that was signed back in 2016.
No, that's absolutely correct. And so I had the list. I don't have it anymore, unfortunately. But like I had what was publicly available about Trump's plan versus the JCPOA, right? Like what are the differences? And basically Trump's plan, as it's been laid out publicly, what we know, like there has not been a definitive, like here is our version of the JCPOA, which is not particularly surprising because they don't have anything. It was basically, you're not allowed to enrich anything. You're not allowed, like it was just, it was the difference between the JCPOA and Trump's plan as we know it was basically, you're not allowed to do anything. And the JCPOA is like, okay, we're both adults here and we don't want you to have a nuke, but we're not going to try to stop you from like developing nuclear power if that's what you want. Because that's always the argument of like, we're not trying to enrich to bomb people. We're trying to enrich uranium so that we can do this nuclear power. Whether they're being honest or not, we can't speculate. I mean,
but that's why you have people monitoring.
Exactly.
Going in and checking stuff. So
right. And so, yeah, like if you read the information in the JCPOA, it is far more reasonable. It's like, okay, well, you can enrich to like 30%, which will give like you could do like nuclear power and stuff like that. And then you have monitoring and all these other things that were all involved. And the Trump one's like, we get unfettered access to all of your facilities fucking forever. And you can't do anything. And if you're found to be doing anything, like you're going to pay these massive, fucking, penalties for it and all this other shit. It's like, well, why would I sign on to that? Like, what is the reason? And if we're being honest, the real reason is they were never planning for you to sign on to anything, right? They tore it up because they want to have this boogeyman there so that Israel can attack you. They can attack you if they want to. And they want the fight. Because Trump, I'm reminded of that moment that really, I think it's the moment I literally started to hate Van Jones. Actually, it is. But there have been so many moments, and he did one again this week that really pissed me off. But the moment I really realized Van Jones is a real piece of shit was when Trump bombed, I want to say it was like Soleimani or something like that. When he killed him, he was like, well, now Trump is really the president. Like, this is I was like, indiscriminate bombing of other, like, people in other countries, like, without congressional approval or, acts of war and potentially sparking up a thing, that makes him the president? Like, the fuck are you talking about? What kind of psycho shit is that? And this is sort of the same thing. In order to feel like a real big boy, he feels like he's got to play with his missiles, right? Like, that's what it is. And so this strike on these nuclear facilities, it seems like a huge deal, right? Like, that's a president right there. But they were warned ahead of time. Iran was warned ahead of time, and they moved shit out of the way.
They evacuated personnel. Nobody died, despite the fact that they dropped like 6 massive bombs onto these 3 facilities. We don't even know if they got any like enrichment material or like raw material in these strikes. It's not clear in any way, shape, or form, just regardless of what the government says, because they're going to obviously say whatever makes them look good. But Iran doesn't seem to be too terribly plussed by it, given their reaction, which we saw today.
Yeah, which was Tehran was like, "Oh, what we doing? So we're gonna send some bombs over to Qatar, to a U.S. military base there, which I believe is the same military base that they hit before." And Trump said, "Oh, the U.S. soldiers just had headaches, right? And they had like actual brain or shit like that." I'm pretty sure it was the same military base, which is that should tell you something. That Iran, like their first move is like, remember that base we hit the last time? Let's do it again, right? But they were also warned. The U.S. was warned that these missiles were coming. This is a game.
And they intercepted them too, by the way.
Yes.
Like there was no real it was described as like a face-saving attack for Iran, but one that they knew would not have any actual repercussions for them, essentially. So it's just so they could say, "Hey, look, we retaliated against the U.S." They could save face in front of their citizens, and Trump can look strong and it's like, "All right, now we're doing the ceasefire." Here's the thing that, and we blew right past it, and so did the rest of the media. So you can hardly blame us. Something that I did not see nearly enough of. I still haven't seen it.
I'm wondering if it's a story I have pulled up because I was going to talk about it. Go for it.
I mean, it could be. I didn't see enough of it over the weekend. We're certainly not going to see enough of it now that the quote unquote ceasefire is happening. And I'm certainly not seeing enough of it from Democrats specifically. And that is that Trump striking Iran in the first place is illegal.
Yeah.
And an impeachment worthy offense. So for those that don't realize, the president is only allowed to unilaterally, strike another country if the U.S. is in imminent danger of being attacked. Now, the White House is arguing that we were in imminent danger, that Iran was like days away from being able to develop a nuclear weapon, which wouldn't be able to reach us anyway. But let's not let facts get in the way of a good story. So that's their justification. Of course, Republicans are more than happy to go along with it, and weirdly enough, Democrats kind of are too, because the response that I saw from a lot of Democrats wasn't, "Oh, Trump illegally ordered this strike that he had no authorization of Congress to do."
Right.
But just, "Oh, he should have come to Congress first if he wanted authorization to strike Iran." Those two, the tone of that the reaction is to is very different, because they're like, Democrats are almost saying like, "Hey, he needs to come in front of Congress to validate this."
Right.
When you should be saying, "Motherfucker, we're going to impeach you for violating the Constitution."
100%. Look, that shouldn't have been a question. Those papers the articles of impeachment should have been submitted today. 100%. By multiple Democrats. Like, really
right.
show your balls here. I'm kind of disappointed that they haven't. I saw AOC came out. It was like, "No, this is grounds for impeachment." All right, AOC, I agree with you.
Yeah, she was like the only one.
Get moving on this then. Get moving. Look, is it gonna make? Are you gonna get the votes you need for it? No, but you should bring articles of impeachment. I mean, look, this is. So I was doing some research in this, and it was like, as I'm reading it, I realized how pissed off it was making me. So obviously the war powers are in the Constitution. Period. Okay, there is no argument.
Article 1.
Right.
It's in the first one. Before you even get to the part where the president is.
Right. So, like, there is no argument about, "Oh, is it okay that, the president can like unilaterally do this?" No, that's not a thing. It's not a thing. Congress is the one who says, "Hey, we can go to war. Here's the fucking money for it. Go do your thing." When they authorize that is when the president goes, "Cool, thanks. I'm going for it," right? I am in charge of this shit, right? And look, if you don't believe me, you can hear it from the horse's mouth, the founding fathers. Article 1, Section 8, powers of Congress. The Congress shall have the power to declare war, grant letters of marque and reprisal, and make rules concerning captures on land and water. to raise and support armies, but no appropriation of money to that use shall be for a longer term than 2 years, right? Then Article 2, Section 2, powers of the President. The President shall be the Commander-in-Chief of the Army and Navy of the United States and the militia of the several states. Ironic. When called to actual service of the United States. So basically, once the war is authorized, then the president has the right to be like, all right, this is what we're doing. Then you get in charge. You fucking tell them what to do, right? Doesn't work the other way. Now, Tim Kaine came out and was like, hey, we're getting a war powers vote, a war powers resolution vote going. That was part of I think that was part of Trump's like 2 weeks thing. Like he was trying to like wait that or what have you.
Mm-hmm.
And then he was like, just send the bunker busters. Who gives a shit? And so he did. But I'm like, why do you need a war powers resolution if this is very obvious in plain text in the Constitution? And then I realized that there was a War Powers Act in 1973. And I'm like, why? And it's because basically with Vietnam, they just did it without any congressional approval, right? Like they just kept reauthorizing. It was like, oh yeah, no, it's fine. It's like, the fuck?
And be frank, like if you are Trump and you have control of both houses of Congress and all the Republicans, except for Thomas Massie, apparently, are on board for your fucking war, or your strike in Iran. Yeah, why wouldn't you just do it and be like, all right, fuck you, fuck you, come after me? Because they're not going to. So why wouldn't you? Frankly, I don't blame him at all for what he did, because he is only playing the cards that he has been dealt by this absent Congress. The best line that I saw about this in the wake of the strike on Saturday night came on Blue Sky, where it said, it's a good thing that Congress wasn't alive to see this.
Right. Can you imagine?
Yeah.
And so if you're wondering, under what authority, by the way, is Trump doing this, right? This basically, it's under the authorization for military force, right? 2001, 2002, those are the big.
They're still using that. They use that as justification. Are you serious? I thought he was using like the imminent threat justification.
Well, he is like in the public, but basically on paper, this is what he's using, right?
Cool. And so once again, this thing that Democrats probably should have nipped in the bud during Obama, and then again during the Biden administration, we have not. We're still letting linger out there, huh? Yeah.
So yeah, what happened? Obviously in 2001, that's 9/11, right? Like, yeah, of course that was going to happen. Like, you shouldn't have done it, but of course, even thinking like, maybe we should question this. They'd be like, burn that person at the stake, get the fuck out of here. You don't love America. If you don't vote for this, the terrorists truly have won.
Famously, Barbara Lee was like the only fucking person to vote against it, or one of the few. So
yeah, that was it.
She was it. Yeah, okay.
That was it. Shout out to her. And so all of that happens, and so that's why now they're looking at this new war powers. Stop yelling at your wife, Brad. Bring but that's why Tim Kaine and others are trying, and he's spearheading this to get another war powers resolution. My thing is, I don't know that it does anything, because if they can ignore the Constitution, the fuck do they care about Tim Kaine's war powers resolution? They don't give a shit. Trump doesn't.
Yeah, I mean, like, again, it's been just fucking incredible to see just how fast we've just blown past the Constitution having any meaning in just 5 months' time. And again, not just the executive branch either. We don't have the SCOTUS story on the docket today because it came out shortly before the show. But the Supreme Court also not a big fan of upholding the Constitution either anymore, it seems, under the Roberts Court.
Yeah, they're really shit in the bed over there. So cool.
But yes, but again, like the point is, Trump doing this was constitutionally illegal. I saw almost nobody, no news network, very few like serious like mainstream commenters talk about that point. that it was illegal. I saw a little bit of questioning on like some of the Sunday shows, like asking one question of like JD Vance, like, hey, like this is kind of legal. And basically his response is, I don't think you'd find any serious legal scholar who would entertain that. Like, I disagree with you there. I think a lot of constitutional scholars would be like, no, actually this is kind of fucked up and a blatant violation of his constitutional powers. But it just kind of just goes to show how far gone we are. And especially when it comes to shit like this. There is nothing more the fucking media, and I'm not just talking about Fox, I'm talking about every fucking mainstream media. There's nothing more they love talking about than big fucking bombs being dropped by the US of A.
Yeah.
They fucking love that shit.
They do. They do. And
especially if it's against brown people.
Oh, I mean, we dropping bombs on white people anytime soon? I don't think so. Like, we have not done that. Not often enough. But not really since the 30s, if we're being honest.
The 40s.
Or the 40s, right.
Yeah.
Look, we're overdue. Sweden, we're not fucking around. Like, we're coming for you. And your skis. But, you know, the one thing that's, like, to go back to a person I fucking loathe, Van Jones. He came out this week. I fucking don't like that guy.
I don't blame you.
He's a pretty easy person not to like, to be honest. Van Jones came out and was like, progressives and liberals need to embrace this. They need to embrace, like, he literally said that. Like,
I know. My reaction. Yeah, my reaction is to that statement, not like, you saying that. So.
Like, what the fuck are you talking about? We need to embrace this. You know, Iran is a terrible regime and all that stuff. Bitch, nobody's arguing that Iran is the fucking, like, run by the greatest people on earth. That's not the argument. The argument is that you can't just go bomb people. One, you can't bomb people into loving you. That doesn't work, okay? They're not going to greet you as fucking liberators. Two, you can't just bomb people just because. They've been saying that Iran is on the cusp of a nuclear weapon. They're weeks away. They've been saying this shit since like 2015.
Earlier. We've been saying it since 2015. Benjamin Netanyahu has been saying it since the mid-90s. Like, ever since he's been in power, Iran's been like a heartbeat away from a nuclear weapon.
Right. So this idea that we had to bomb them is bullshit. Like, they were not an imminent threat. They were not weeks away or minutes away. That's bullshit.
Or years away for that.
Or years away. Right.
Yeah.
Now, they got a lot more centrifuges going, aluminum tubes and shit. They got a lot more of that going because what you did, what Donald Trump did. So this idea of like, how did this happen? Bitch, here's a mirror. Look at your face.
Literally, it's the fucking hot dog meme.
Gotta find the guy who did this.
Right.
So I am amazed at sort of the inability to be sort of self-effacing, but also at the same time, like, of course, why would they be? So yeah, this boom and bust war thing we're doing, like, hey, we got one for the weekend, and then it is over. Like, it's very silly and extremely dangerous. But I will say, here's the hardball shit that came out that I don't think people are paying attention to. It wasn't the bombs. That wasn't the problem. We are going to shut down the Strait of Hormuz. That was the fucking move, right? That was the we're not fucking around type of shit. Because if you don't know, the Strait of Hormuz is where massive oil tankers move oil. You know, it is where the vast majority of like the Middle Eastern oil is coming through. Now, keep in mind, this is kind of an interesting thing. 2 tanker ships collided in the Strait of Hormuz the other day. That did not make big enough news. But when people were like, oh, why is Trump leaving the G7? That's why he was leaving the G7, in my opinion, because that's a big fucking deal. There was speculation that perhaps they didn't just collide. They, were attacked or something like that. If they even had the inkling that Iran had done that, that's enough of a reason to be like, oh shit, we gotta do something. Some people think that may be the reason that he went ahead and like started dropping bombs. and not this like imminent threat on nuclear weapons. Keep in mind, Trump's own DNI was like, they don't have nuclear weapons. They're not close to having a nuclear weapon.
So she said that. She said that. A reporter asked him about that on Air Force One, about her comments. His response to that, literally verbatim, I don't care what she said. This is his director of national intelligence that he's talking about. And then the next day, she was out in front of the cameras blaming the media for somehow like saying, oh, like you're taking my words out of context and this, that, or the other thing, and what the president said is right and all this other stuff. So it's really cool that Donald Trump is able to dictate his own intelligence and hear what he wants to hear from the people that are supposed to be telling him what the actual skinny is on a lot of these fucking stories.
No, it's definitely more about just having your opinions, said back to you.
Yeah.
Just in a cool new hip way.
Like any good CEO, looking for affirmation, not for information. So
yeah, well, yeah, sadly. All right, so how does this affect the people that we care the least about? MAGA. The knuckle draggers are out, Brad. They got their orbital shelves are larger than normal. They're fucking screaming and throwing shit at each other. I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying watching these people punch each other.
As we should, because it's very funny. Obviously, this brings the Lord of the Rings meme to mind a little bit. Like, never thought I'd be fighting alongside,
Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Right, but and then she says, "What about a friend?" And be like, "No, fuck you. You are not my friend.
Yeah,
you're just a useful idiot in this particular example."
Yeah,
so.
Absolutely. We are not cool. Fuck off, Marjorie. But Marjorie Taylor Greene accuses Trump of bait and switch over Iran strikes. The noted Audible cave woman says, it feels like a complete bait and switch to please the neocons, warmongers, military-industrial complex, contracts, and neocon TV personalities that MAGA hates and who were never Trumpers. She also defended herself, saying, contrary to brainwashed Democrat boomers think and protest about, Trump is not a king, MAGA is not a cult, and I can and do have my own opinions. We'll see about that one. You're wrong.
Famous last words.
Yeah, you're wrong about the Trump is not a king. He thinks he is. MAGA is not a cult. It is. And you can have your own opinions.
I'm about to say, congratulations. You have found in 5 years the singular issue that you were willing to break ranks with him on.
Yeah, you giant
yeah.
dork. Yeah, definitely not a cult. I agree with everything this person has ever said, ever, about everything. Okay, that's weird. Okay, like super strange thing to do. Look, there's part of me that can respect being anti-war and really sticking to those guns. But I don't believe them. And I think the reason why they are sticking to their guns, at least for now, I don't think they always will, but at least for now, I can't help but to think that it's because of anti-Semitism. I'm sorry, I'm not buying it. I think they love to be like, we're not letting the goddamn Jews run America. Like, I feel like, because they say it a lot, they're like, we're not taking orders from Israel. You know what I'm saying? You guys know what I'm saying. It's like, yeah, I get it, but I don't like when you say it. Like, you know what I mean?
Like you're right, but for the worst reason possible.
Right. It's like, well, I don't like the media, putting out bad things. You're like, yeah, no, I agree with that. Because you know who runs the media. I'm like, man, that's where you lost me. That's where you lost me. And so I think that Marjorie Taylor Greene and a lot of these other, MAGA influencers, as it were, I think they're just mostly anti-Semitic pieces of shit. And so this is another excuse for them to kind of slide that anti-Semitism in there. I think if this was a different country that we were fighting alongside, and it was against Iran, I think they'd be like, hell yeah. Like if it was the Brits or if it was those fucking French bastards, I think they'd be like, hell yeah. Like I don't think they would give a fuck. I think if it was Canada, they'd be like, see, that's why they should be the 51st state. We're together, bro. Like I don't think so. But because it's Israel, they're like, want to be for the war.
They've already
Jewish people.
They're already big supporters of brown on brown violence. I mean, and so are a lot of Democrats, for example, because we're more than happy to back the Saudis to the hilt against Yemen. So
100%.
Yeah.
You guys kill each other. That sounds great.
Right.
So yeah, I think that a lot of these sort of MAGA folks are I think it gives them an excuse to be kind of openly anti-Semitic in a way. Like it's a weird thing. It's like, no, I'm that doesn't make me on the opposite side where Marjorie Taylor Greene is, but I'm definitely on the other side of the street. And I'm like, I agree, don't come over here. You know what I mean? It's like, stay over there. But look, a lot of MAGA folks are anti-war because they don't want to spend the money, right? Like they saw how unbelievably stupid that was to spend all that money in Iraq. But
yeah, there was a candidate who ran in 2016 who very explicitly made it a central plank of his platform to call out other Republicans for decisions they made during the Iraq War and how much money they spent and how much of a boondoggle that war was. You'll never guess who it was.
Right. But that's why he won that primary, because he was willing to say what none of them were willing to say on that stage. They were like, well, I don't want to criticize my own party. Blah, blah. And he was like, nah, this was a stupid decision, is what he said. And he got roaring applause because people who are just supporters, that's what they want to hear, man. Like, talk plainly, right? Like, that's Trump's thing, even though he sounds like a buffoon. But they like that talk, that plain talk where they go, exactly. It's not politically correct. It's not polished. That was a stupid decision. That's what I say when I'm drinking a beer. I also think it's a stupid decision. Me and Trump are the same, right? That's what they hear. Look, again, I will go to my grave saying this because I absolutely believe it. When Joe Biden went on that debate stage and was like, will you shut up, man? People were like, I don't care what Joe Biden believes. He said the thing I'm saying. I'm telling you, like, because a lot of times when people can just sync up with somebody, they're like, oh shit, they believe what I believe. That's a powerful thing. It's a powerful thing. That's why you can say, hey, why don't we just deport all these people? And a bunch of racists were like, well, that's what I think too. And then they went out there and they were like, oh shit, they deported my cousin. Oh, I fucked up. Shout out to the woman who did that song, I Will Vote for Donald Trump. Her Cuban ass husband got his ass fucking picked up by ICE. And she's like crying on TV, this is not what I voted for. No, lady, this is exactly what you voted for.
Yeah. And actually, I will give the anti-war MAGA folks this one thing, because we've been making fun of people for 6 months about saying, oh, I didn't vote for this, but when in fact you absolutely did. In this case, the anti-war MAGA people are correct. They did not vote for him to get into another conflict into the Middle East because he ran as the peace candidate, if you recall.
Yes, okay? They were the peace ticket. They were the peace.
Right. What people didn't realize is that he meant peace through war is yes. what he what the fine print that was not said. He invented that phrase, by the way, Jay. That's another one that we can chalk up to him.
Oh,
by the way.
Oh, did he really say that? So
I don't think he did. His press secretary did today, though. Basically, peace through war is his idea. Certainly wasn't spoken by like Hadrian back in the fucking teens during the heights of the Roman Empire or anything like that. Among other world leaders throughout history.
I don't like her. Like, and not in that I don't like her because I'm more on the left. I don't like her because that woman is dumb as shit and has no business being in that position. Well, I saw a clip of her today, and it was a guy from NBC News. I forget the guy's name, Peter something, and he was like, "Hey, you said Like they played the Instagram clip was great. They played the clip of what she said like months ago, and then they show him asking a question about what she said, right? So it was like perfectly in context, right? He's like, you said months ago that Doge was going in and they were going to find all they had found all of this fraud. And then it cuts to, like it shows her response like, oh, they found all this, fraud when they went into the government. And it cuts back to him. He goes, have there been any formal cases brought for these billions of dollars in fraud that you said that they found? And she's like, well, that's a very clever question. It's like, it's not even a clever question. You said they found fraud. Where are the cases against the fraud? And she was like, well, we said we suspected that there was fraud, and we found, $78 billion in spending. They're doing mastectomies for foreign countries. And he was like, but that's not fraud. That's just shit you don't like. That's not fucking fraud. And she's like, well, are you against them finding $78 billion of wasted spending? He was like, and she's like, in 1 year. He's like, well, actually, and they actually had like this, like almost like a Chiron type of thing. He was like, that actually wasn't in 1 year. That was across like 7 years. And she was like, no, it was a 1 year. It's like, no, it wasn't. It was over 7 years. Like, here's the data. What the fuck are you talking about?
Right.
Her inability, because she's not fast. Like, she just goes, nuh-uh. That's her response. It's
but her job is not to actually engage the press. It's to go out there and just repeat the talking points that the administration wants her to repeat.
Right.
And if she gets called on it, you just barrel through it, because lying has no consequence for these assholes.
Right. And it's like, well, that's what all press secretaries do. It's like, no, if you notice Democratic press secretaries and even past Republican secretaries outside of the Trump administrations, they're not idiots. Like, they actually had data. And I would even argue Sarah Huckabee Sanders wasn't an idiot. She was awful, but she wasn't an idiot. Like, she actually knew shit, right? She could answer questions. This woman is just like, no, it isn't. Like, no, but it is. Here's the data. Your mother's dumb. Like what the fuck are we talking about? Like, because she is completely inexperienced. She's completely out of her depth. I mean, she's only second to that eyebrow raising idiot 22-year-old who's definitely gonna fuck up stopping a terrorist act inside the United States. Like, isn't she like 27 years old or some shit? Like,
yeah, with a husband who's like 59.
Yeah, gross. Yeah, because when you don't have any other talents, you might as well use the only one you got.
The one you got, yeah.
Yuck. So I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan at all. But by the way, we got a ceasefire. Before we move on,
we did.
That's great.
Oh, and speaking of things that are going to age like milk, here is a quote. Here is a quote from the current president of the United States, because he was asked in the wake of this ceasefire news between Israel and Iran, how long the ceasefire would be. And Trump responded, quote, I think the ceasefire is unlimited. It's going to go forever. And that Iran and Israel will, quote, never be shooting each other, or sorry, they will never be shooting at each other again.
Okay.
I mean, the Middle East, Jay, in fairness to him, the Middle East, known historically for being one of the most stable regions on the globe.
Okay.
Where nothing crazy ever happens.
There's nothing that's going to happen. What? Forever, Jay. Israel and Iran will never ever fight again. I've long said there will never be hostilities. Iran's just going to stop funding Hamas. Like, I bet you that's part of the ceasefire agreement. Is they're like, you know what? We don't like Hamas anymore. We're just going to pull all the money out of Hamas that we've laundered to them. No problem. It's like living in the world's dumbest box.
I have a conspiracy theory for you.
I love
if you'd love me to be entertained. What was the other thing that Trump was really bitching about heavily last week? That just kind of came up out of nowhere. It's been something he's bitched about before. It kind of re-arose last week.
Toilets?
Toilets? No, not toilets. For some reason, Trump was back on his bullshit about the fact that he thinks it's fucked up that he's never won a Nobel Peace Prize.
Oh, it's in my that's on the docket. That's the I want an Oompa Loompa daddy. I want one now. That's
we're going right to what's dumber, a brick or a Republican.
Yeah.
For some reason, wow, I can't believe you used the True Social link. Oh my god, I need to scrub this from my fucking browser. I can't believe
it's in there now, buddy.
What a piece of shit.
Yeah, just burn your computer.
For some reason, actually, I don't know why I'm saying like I don't know the reason why. It really bothers Donald Trump, like 2 degrees that the rest of us can only fathom. That Barack Obama has won a Nobel Peace Prize,
100%,
and he has not.
100.
It really fucking bothers.
That's it.
And so he was bitching about that last week. What if this was just some really massive plot with Israel to align him to be nominated for the 2026 Nobel Peace Prize as the man who finally ended the decades of hostility between Israel and Iran by bombing the shit out of Iran?
Yeah,
but he did it.
Look. If he thinks that is going to work, that is pretty dumb. Look, I know people get
he's pretty dumb.
Yeah, I mean, inarguable. I know people get up in arms about Barack Obama having a Nobel Peace Prize, right? Did he need one? No, right? But I feel like people just forget what that situation was, right? Mm-hmm. Like the prize was given as a like, hey man, you seem like a real peaceful dude. Please don't bomb Iran. We don't want this shit to spark off. And you know what happened? Not that he was planning on it. He didn't. Okay, he didn't buy into all the neocon fucking horseshit. He didn't, bow to that pressure and everything else. Do I think that deserves a Nobel Peace Prize for not doing something? Seems a bit weird. But I do think context matters. Trump getting a Nobel Peace Prize for anything would, in my eyes, make everyone who's won a Nobel Peace Prize previous to that fucking useless. I'd like just burn because there's nothing peaceful about that guy. There's nothing about that guy that wants to do kind or good things to help humanity at all. That's it. That's the whole sentence. Like
I don't remember what it is that he claimed he did in his first term that he feels he deserves. That he deserves a Nobel Peace Prize for. I think it was like tempering hostilities between like India and Pakistan or something like that. To the point where, I know, right? Well, to the point where literally on Friday, Pakistan, because they wanted to kiss his ass, put out a statement that was like, yeah, like we think Donald Trump should get the Nobel Peace Prize for helping curb hostilities between us and India. And then like in the wake of the bombing in Iran the next day, they were like, what the fuck? I can't believe he fucking did this. Are you fucking kidding?
Well, you fucked that one up, bro. We were right behind you. Let me read his truth, because it's a fucking doozy. The dude was fucking spazzing out. I am very happy to report that I have arranged, along with the Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, a wonderful treaty between the Democratic Republic of the Congo and the Republic of Rwanda in their war, which was known for violent bloodshed and death, more so even than most other wars, and has gone on for decades. Okay. Representatives from Rwanda and Congo will be in Washington on Monday to sign documents. This is a great day for Africa, and quite frankly, a great day for the world. By the way, this is the same guy who called African countries shithole countries. Okay, just so we're clear. I won't get a Nobel Peace Prize for this. I won't get a Nobel Peace Prize for stopping the war between India and Pakistan. I won't get a Nobel Peace Prize for stopping the war between Serbia and Kosovo. I won't get a Nobel Peace Prize for keeping peace between Egypt and Ethiopia, a massive Ethiopian-built dam stupidly financed by the United States of America, substantially reduced the water flowing into the Nile River. By the way, stupidly financed, but I won't win a fucking Nobel Prize for that shit. By the way, who built the dam? Was it you? No, it wasn't at all. I'm sure it was Joe Biden. Or maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was even way before that. But considering he's saying it's stupidly financed by the United States, it's probably under Joe Biden. He really fucking hates it. And I won't get a Nobel Peace Prize for doing the Abraham Accords in the Middle East, which, if all goes well, will be loaded to the brim with additional countries signing on and will unify the Middle East for the first time in the ages. Right? He wrote the ages.
I love his random quotation marks.
Yeah,
that
like
litter his posts.
Like
it is legitimately my favorite thing about him, because it's like they seem random. Like it just seems like so haphazard.
The ages makes no sense. Like, okay. No, I won't get the Nobel Peace Prize no matter what I do, including Russia, Ukraine. You literally haven't done anything. You've actually made it worse. And Israel, Iran. Again, what have you done? You bombed one of them. Like you did. Whatever those outcomes may be, but the people know, and that's all that matters to me. I don't think that's all that matters to you. I really don't think so. I think it matters all.
I'm not mad. Another thing, I'm not mad. Don't put in the newspaper that I got mad. So.
Yeah. I don't even care. Here's my 3,000 word essay about why I don't care. Fuck you guys.
Oh my god.
What a clown. All right.
So there you go. Just, take solace in the fact that no matter how insecure you may be in your life, you are not more insecure than the current president at the fact that Barack Obama, who he views as a very moronic person, has done something that he cannot do. Again, it really, you know how we say, like everything bad that's happened in America, you can pretty much just track back to racism and you'll find the origin point. Pretty much anything that Donald Trump has ever done, I feel like you can just track back to his insecurity compared to Barack Obama.
No, that's 100% it, right? Like, I think part of him wanting to run a third time, besides protecting himself, is I think he would love to run against Barack Obama. Like, I do. I know that they want to have it like, oh, it's Barack Obama wouldn't be allowed to run, fucking horseshit. But I think there's part of him he'd be like, no, let him. Like, he just wants to take him on. And
but Obama wouldn't, is the thing.
Exactly. He'd be like,
yeah,
it's fucking dumb.
I don't believe that that's correct. So
yeah, like
I was literally a constitutional law professor.
Yeah, like it seems a bit vile, bro. Like,
yeah,
come on, Barack. Are you scared? No, it's not that I'm scared. I believe in the founding documents of the country. Like, I don't know. I know it's super weird, but I think he wants to be able to take him on, and I think like his desire to be a sort of transformative figure and like have like a real mark in American history. I think all of that stems from that. Like, Barack Obama was the first black president, and he was like, came in on this like the fucking wings of an eagle as far as like how excited people were. And I think that's what he wants, because Donald Trump, for his many faults, has what can only be described as unbelievable little dick energy, right? Like, he just does. So like, he is jealous. And Barack Obama's got, like, by accounts from women, he's got big dick energy, right? Like, he's just like, hey, whatever, like, I'm just fucking doing shit, and people are just like, that guy seems fucking cool. Donald Trump is the exact opposite of that, right?
I mean, Donald Trump has spent his entire life like trying to, show everyone that he's a really big fucking deal, essentially.
Right. And look, if we go by Stormy Daniels, it's not just energy. It's real. It's really that small. Sad. All right, news you need. Senate passes stablecoin legislation. This is all you, sir.
Yeah, the Senate voted and passed pretty overwhelmingly, 68-30, what's called the Genius Act, that included 18 Democrats signing on to basically establish federal regulation around stablecoins, which are the crypto coins that are slightly more legitimate than meme coins are, essentially. Like they're the things that work like actual stocks, for lack of a better term. And basically making sure that those coins that are linked to the value of the US dollar have just the broadest regulation around them, essentially, because I guess a bad bit of regulation is better than no regulation at all, which I feel like is also untrue.
Yeah, I disagree with that.
As a statement. again, a lot of the usual suspects that you would expect, maybe some you don't, tried to lobby pretty hard against this. Like obviously Elizabeth Warren was out there trying to whip against it, and Ron Wyden. Also, weirdly, Rand Paul and Josh Hawley were like, we're not really fucking down with this because they are not, they're very skeptical of big tech, which again is one of those like strange bedfellows, like, they're on your side for the wrong reasons,
Yes.
essentially. So that happened. Again, we'll see what comes of this. I'm still very, as you know, crypto skeptical. It is a fucking scam. Really, at the end of the day, I mean, it's again, you're holding nothing tangible. And it's no different than fucking gambling, essentially. So, as Jay has said many times before, like it rises and falls specifically on the greater fool theory of economics.
Yeah.
Stable coins to a much lesser extent, obviously. Like stable coins are called stable coins for a reason. They don't have the sharp fluctuations in value.
So that would be like Ethereum and
Ethereum and Bitcoin and stuff like that. Yeah,
Doge, right? Obviously.
Yeah. It is.
No, so. Is it? Is Doge considered a stable coin?
I think it is. because it's actually backed with actual like money, essentially.
Okay.
That's the difference. Whereas the meme coins are just like, hey, we invented this thing out of thin air. Buy it, please, and people do. And then
like the Haktula coin or whatever,
or any of them. The Trump coin, for example.
Yeah, get rid of that one, but they won't. It's fucking insane. Next up, look, I love this. I think is the primary like tomorrow?
It's tomorrow. It's tomorrow. It's interesting that you love this.
All right, tell us why you hate brown people, Brad. Go for it.
No, I like I said, everything that I've seen of Zohran Mamdani seems pretty cool. He seems like he'd be a dope fucking New York mayor. It really, really fucking bothers me to
that
extent that you cannot imagine that that Andrew Cuomo is somehow trending as high as he is, in a Democratic primary.
Yeah,
what the fuck are we doing here, Democratic New Yorkers? Like, I know what we're doing here. I understand what's happening. Centrists are scared of the big bad brown socialist that's fucking running in New York right now. Like, that's really all it amounts to.
But Cuomo had been leading before Mamdani surged too.
Yeah, I understand that. The fact that Cuomo was even like welcome in this race by Democrats, considering the circumstances at which he had to resign being the governor of the state not more than 4 years ago, is insane to me.
No, you're 100% correct. You're 100% correct. I'm not disagreeing with any of that. I mean, I don't agree with your hate for Mamdani because he's brown. I don't agree with that. But no, but in all seriousness, no, I 100% agree with that. Chris Cuomo, Andrew Cuomo, any of these Cuomos, get the fuck out of here. Like, we're done with you, son. Like, it's over. Like, isn't Andrew or Chris on, like, News Today or whatever fucking bullshit?
He's on News Nation. He's on News Nation, hanging out with Bill O'Reilly often.
Cool. Sweet. I do remember that video where he threatened to push that guy down a fucking flight of stairs. I was like, all right, I like this guy a little bit. That shit was hilarious to me. But, no, look. Andrew Cuomo has no reason to be in this race. I 100% agree. Look, a lot of that has to do with what you talked about, which is centrists being like, a guy we know, right? That's a big part of it. Name recognition matters. It does in politics. A lot of people just don't pay attention to shit, so they don't know why Cuomo left. They might have been like, oh, he just term limited out. Or whatever.
How? How is that fucking possible in this, like you said, during COVID? Like, if you're a New Yorker, I have to imagine this came across your desk. I mean, it would be cool if someone like, I don't know, Kirsten Gillibrand could maybe be consistent in her principles and maybe come out and speak forcefully against a guy that was accused of sexually harassing what fucking 11, 12, 13 women while he was the fucking governor of New York. Maybe that'd be cool if she, but she's remained weirdly silent on this whole thing. Like, she hasn't come out and actually, I think she might have actually Endorse? Hang on a second. I'm going to Google
Bill
this.
Clinton endorsed. Bill Clinton
Well,
endorsed.
I mean,
what are you doing?
Game recognizes game, brother.
He's like,
that's all that is.
Hell yeah, bro. You know how we roll. Like, how do you guys roll? Weirdly. We roll really weirdly. Yeah, I'm not pleased about it that he's there, but I am pleased that New York has ranked choice voting. And going out 8 rounds in the last polling, Mamdani is up 51.8% to Cuomo's 48.2%. That's good, man. Look,
yeah, but also not the poor rain on the parade.
Yeah.
Cuomo leads up until the very last round, essentially.
Yeah, no, that's true. So Cuomo has the greatest number of first choice ballots with the first round of ranked choice voting simulation showing him at 36% and Mamdani at 34%. Now, here's the thing. This while this is a decent indicator of what could potentially happen tomorrow. I know for a fact that human beings are weird, and being polled versus when you go into that booth and you go, all right, it's down to these two guys. That's when that's going to matter more. Right. And I think Mamdani is likely going to pull a fuck ton more people out of those, in this chart from Lander down to Love Prince. Oh, I bet there's going to be a lot, but hold on. I think there's going to be a lot more people who supported those guys who are like, all right, they don't have a fucking chance. And they're going to end up taking a lot of those voters in that first round, and they're going to go to Mamdani in the first round. Like, I don't think it's going to be so like this is split across a lot of people. I think when election day comes, you're going to see a lot more people go, all right, I'm going to put Mamdani as my first and then my guy instead of putting my guy and then Mamdani second.
Here's my problem, and I understand that ranked choice kind of throws a big wrench into the works essentially when it comes to this shit, because this looks like a coin flip, between Mamdani and Cuomo. My fear is that Cuomo's going to win by like 10 points when it all shakes out.
Why do you say that?
Just because that seems like how it always goes, right? Like we have these because again, I don't trust polling. Because like polling, it seems like pollsters have no idea what they're doing. Now, this is obviously a little bit different than, like a presidential polling race or polling race between a Republican and Democrat in the Senate. And so I could be wrong there. But again, I feel like you might also be getting a lot of, to your point, like people that poll say something different sometimes than when they go into the voting booth. And maybe when you're confronted with a pollster, you don't want to be like, yeah, I'm going to definitely rank the guy that is a serial sexual harasser. But then when you actually get in the voting booth, it's a different story.
Yeah, we'll see.
And by the way, if Mamdani wins, he still then has to contend with another guy that centrists, I'm sure, are going to be totally cool voting for, and that's Eric Adams, who's going to run as an independent if he doesn't win the primary, which he won't.
You think Eric Adams is going to run?
He said he would.
Nah, I don't believe that. No,
dude, nobody believes in Eric Adams more than Eric Adams. Come the fuck on. Like, you don't think
that part is true. That part,
you don't think that he would absolutely?
You think he'll run as an independent? You think he'll run as an independent?
I do. Yes, I do.
Oh, you know what? I want it. You know what? Because I want the two of them in a fucking debate. Holy shit! I would love for Mamdani and Eric Adams to be in a debate against each other. Hell yes. You know what? Fuck it. We'll just give it, hey, don't make me crash the plane because you know I'm the pilot. You got to go down with you. What the fuck is that guy going to say? He's out there like putting out drink recipes today. Like, ooh, this shit will get you lit.
Speaking of guys that I wish we could just fucking put into a Truman Show simulation and just watch from afar.
Oh, Eric Adams. Make him the president. Let him be the president. Hell yeah, man. He would have a fucking blast. That guy, again, he is another guy of like, if you weren't put in charge of like serious things and it was just like, it's all jokes, Hell yeah. Like, look, if Trump was in a Truman Show type of thing and he had no power, I'd watch that show every week. It would be appointment television. I'd be like, look at this idiot. Look what this idiot is doing. This is hilarious. Okay, that's the end of the free portion for this week's episode of Look Forward. Make sure you go to lookforwardshow.com/premium. Sign up for premium content. It's only $5 a month or $50 for the full year.